Hello, my name is Sally Ellingson. I'm in the College of Medicine, and I focus on computational drug discovery in my research. I actually was always good at math at a young age. I didn't realize how cool it was to be good at math and decided to follow art in the beginning instead. It was much later that I had an appreciation for being good at it. So I started doing digital art, and I had no interest in computers before then, and when I started working in digital art, I realized I was much better at the technical side of things. So I went to study computer science and then got a dual major in math. Did very well in those, but I knew I wanted to do something applied. I wanted to care about the problem I was working on, and that led me to biology, and in that I started working in drug discovery. I started graduate school a summer early because I was on a fellowship for computational biology and had no biology background. So I worked in a biochemistry lab for the summer, did experimental work, really had no idea what I was doing most of the time, but I actually was able to write a mathematical program for the group to help resolve some new experimental data they were collecting, and helped a graduate student that had been working on the project for over a year advance in just over a summer. I was at the University of Tennessee and worked with a group at Oak Ridge National Lab, and when I went and first interviewed for graduate school there, we got to tour Oak Ridge National Lab and saw the supercomputers there. And I got super excited and knew that whatever I did, I wanted to learn how to work on those. And so the group that I worked with was a biophysics group that does lots of biosimulations, and so the drug discovery research went really well along with the kinds of things that were going on supercomputers already. So it's still following along the same lines of research I started in graduate school, which is based off of a calculation called molecular docking, which is a very simple calculation that's efficient so that you can test lots of compounds and test whether or not they'll bind to a specific protein. Kinase inhibitors are the largest class of new cancer drugs, and also kinases are very similar in sequence and structure. So if you develop a drug that inhibits a kinase that's known to be associated with a cancer, it's probably going to inhibit others that you don't want them to. And you can use this as a filtering process before you start experimental work so that you know you'll be more successful, it'll be more efficient and cost effective, and you can also predict whether drugs will bind to proteins you don't want them to, and that will lead to safer clinical studies, safer drugs. I've been selected to be visiting faculty at a national lab for a couple summers, which I went the past 2 summers, and potentially going back this summer. I basically get to work on my own research and do whatever I want. I have a mentor there that I meet with weekly, and they suggest other people to go and meet with. They also pay for me to bring student interns with me. Mentoring and working with graduate students is important. I think that I had a great experience in graduate school with being on a fellowship and having a project manager that was always there along with my PI that helped advance the research. So helping other students with those opportunities is very important to me. So I was involved with a project that had to do with genetic sequencing of people that are from the Appalachian region with lung cancer, which we have the highest rate of here. The reason that I wanted to get into an applied area in the first place is to feel like I was working in something that had immediate impact and had great value for society. So seeing, the difference that you could make on a small level in a community feels great. I think that there is a great environment for collaborative research here, such as a computational scientist working alongside with medical doctors on research projects, and I think there's lots of interesting work and opportunities here.